Welcome to the Bulldog Blitz. I'm your host, Mark Pearson. Today I'm joined in studio by two players from the women's basketball teams. Before we get started, let's take a look at this year's team.
The Butler women's basketball team kicked off their season this past weekend. The team knocked off Kentucky Wesleyan in an exhibition contest. The game was played inside Hinkle Fieldhouse. Like all Butler sports, this season will be the team's first in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Head coach Beth Kuchar says the team is looking forward to the challenge.
Well, we're excited. You know, everything is new to us and it's excitement. And we know we got to step it up. You know, it's a great women's basketball league and we're going to have to bring it every night. It's not going to be a league where you can come in and not play well. You're going to leave with a pretty good loss. So we know we have to be ready and focused, and I think the girls are really prepared that way in practice.
The team has youth on its side this season. They boast only one senior, while they have 9 freshmen or sophomores. Junior forward Duress McClung scored 18 points in the win over Kentucky Wesleyan. The team shot the ball well in the win, something Kuchar says they'll have to do regularly.
I think we're going to have to shoot behind the arc because we got good post play, so they're going to be doubled, so we're going to have to be able to hit that.
Sophomore guard Taylor Shippers showed her ability to run the offense and shoot well in the win. Another strength of the team this season will be its depth. Kuchar said she has 10 girls that can play valuable minutes and push each other.
It's been one of the most competitive teams I've had. They really push each other. I think it's good that we have 10 players right now that can play. So all of them every day are trying to get better, and it's just been good. I think they're making each other better, and I think we're getting better.
The team will travel to Milwaukee for a game against Marquette to begin the regular season on November 10th. For the Bulldog Blitz, I'm Matt Reinsmith.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz. I am joined today by Taylor Shippers and teammate Duress McClung, two players from the women's basketball team. Thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome.
Taylor, last year you played for Oklahoma State, and you were leading scorer in one of your games against Baylor. You scored 11 of your team's 52 points. What was it like playing a great team like Baylor and Brittany Griner?
She definitely changed the game a lot, and Baylor, they're just amazing. Like, their pressure they put on you is just ridiculous, and it really puts a lot of pressure on you because, I mean, you're trying to win the game, but then again, Brittany Griner and they're the #1 team in the country, and their winning streak is just unbelievable.
Were they pressuring you during this game at all? I know that you're point guard or two guard.
Mm-hmm.
Did they pressure you a lot in the backcourt?
Kind of. I mean, the only reason that they're really all that is just because Griner is inside and she changes the whole entire game, and the guards really aren't, like, you would think they'd pressure a lot more, but they're really not like that. They really don't pressure the ball that much.
And Duress, in your sophomore season at Cincinnati, you played a great player in Maya Moore. What was that experience like?
It was a really good experience. Maya Moore is a really talented player. There's not one thing she does good. She does everything good. So trying to guard that type of player, let alone a team that plays really good as a collective whole, was tough.
What was your game plan going into that game? Was it to stop her or just limit her?
It was to limit her without allowing the team to go off. You can't just stop a team like that with one player. You know, when one player doesn't play well, the entire team has someone else that can step up. So that game plan was just to slow the game down and to kind of limit her in her shots.
As I mentioned before, you both played for different teams. Taylor, you started 17 games with Oklahoma State last year, and Duress, in your first 4 games of your sophomore year, you started for Cincinnati before suffering a season-ending injury. What reasons, Duress, do you have for coming to Butler?
Well, I'm from here, and Butler's always been, you know, a really well-known school in Indianapolis, at least for me. And I just really enjoyed meeting Coach Kuchar prior to going to Cincinnati, and I felt like Butler's a great school academically, so it was a good fit for me to come home and be near my family and get a good education.
Taylor, from what Coach Hayes has told me, you were really close to the 2 coaches that passed away in the tragic plane crash. You know, explain how the team kind of reacted and came together as one after the tragic event.
Well, we got told at like 6:30 in the morning, and we had just gotten up, and it was just shocking to everybody. I mean, most people didn't even cry. It was just such a shock to us, and the whole city of Stillwater rallied behind it, and we had counselors given to us and stuff, but pretty much we all got through it together as a team, and we were there to talk to each other about it.
You know, and transferring to Butler, was this one of the reasons for it? Did you have to escape from
It was.
being at Oklahoma State?
It was the full reason for it. Being there was just so tough. Seeing everything reminded me of them, and it was the main reason for transferring.
Darius, you played in the Big East, so you had plenty of competition with UConn and many other top schools around the country. How do you think the Atlantic 10, a new conference for Butler, will treat you this year?
I think it'll be good for us as a team. A lot of tougher teams. It'll be a challenge for us. But at the same time, I think that our team has the ability to compete and do really well this year. So I think we're going to surprise a lot of people.
What do you think the Atlantic 10 brings that might necessarily the Big East not bring?
I don't know. I mean, a given would be different teams as a whole. There's going to be different areas that are traveled. As far as play, I don't think that they're going to be. I think they're going to be more athletic versus the Horizon. As far as the Big East, I don't really know a lot of differences. Like I said, I had to sit out my sophomore year, but I think Atlantic 10, it's going to be a lot more competition than what we would have faced staying in Horizon.
And Taylor, mentioning you playing in the Big 12 last year, how do you think the A10 will treat you this year, just like Darius explained?
I feel like both of us have seen pretty much the best you're going to see, and so I think it's just us all believing in each other, and we know Coach believes, and I feel like we are going to surprise a ton of people this year.
Last year, Darius, you sat out after transferring on Butler's team, and last year's team was the first team since the 07-08 season not to have 20 wins in one season. What separates this year's team from last year's team?
We have, I think, a more focused. We're more focused as a collective whole. We come to compete. I think practices, we really challenge one another a lot more than we did last year. We have a different set of girls, and not to say anything about last year's girls because they were great. And I just think that the people that we have this year maybe play a little bit better together than maybe last year's group.
And same question to you. How do you think, being with a new team this year, how do you think you will fit in?
I feel like we have all the right pieces to the puzzle. I mean, with Strat coming in December, helping us out in the A10, and I just feel like we have a ton of talent on our team that really clicks on the court.
Darius, you know, what are some team goals this year as the team progresses? I mean, is it really all to just take in that A10, or do you want to go further into the tournament as well?
We definitely want to do postseason play, and Taylor and I talk about it all the time, like wanting to be undefeated during the preseason, not preseason, but non-conference games. But we want to shock a lot of people, and we have the ability to do it. And I think we'll all be disappointed if we don't make it to postseason play.
You know, you both have been very accomplished players in the past. Taylor, you are a McDonald's All-American nominee. You led the Bearcats in shot blocking. You know, what do you each bring to Butler's team this year? Darius, we can start with you.
I don't know. I think I feel like bring a toughness, and I think Taylor does the same. We're competitors. We want to play hard. We want to win. And I think that skills aside, that type of attitude drives a team. And so I think that's what we both bring for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor and you?
I think we both bring a lot of leadership to the team, and just the fact that we all want to win and we want to succeed and make it to the NCAA tournament and do something that hasn't been done at Butler before really drives us to do well and succeed.
Now, the Butler is now in the Atlantic 10, and there's been lots of issues with traveling. Now, this might not affect you guys because, I mean, you aren't new to traveling around. But what are some of the difficulties with traveling?
What do you mean?
Like traveling with the team, like having to get up at hotels, or you know, like are you going to be tired when you play games, stuff like that?
Being on the road is definitely more difficult. You have to have a ton of focus to come out on the court ready, and playing anywhere other than your home court is just a different environment. It'll always be different than playing at home, and the fans there are just crazy, and I mean, it's just new and everything. We just got to stay focused.
Same thing for you? Or?
It is. You just, not playing at home, you don't have that comfort. It takes a lot of focus, like she said, and also missing class. I mean, basketball aside, just being away from class is also difficult. So.
You know, traveling on the road, you talk about different fan sections. You know, Big East and the Big 12, you know, are big basketball schools. You know, what was the toughest place for you to play last year?
Probably Oklahoma or Texas A&M, just because, I mean, I think Big 12 has been ranked #1 in fan attendance for some time now, and it was just packed house. It was loud. You can't hear the coaches calling plays. It's just chaos.
And Darius?
I would have to say Notre Dame. I mean, that's just a tough place to play, I think, in any sport. And for basketball, they're always packed, and that kind of environment is kind of shell-shocking, and it was hard for us. So,
what experiences can you take away from playing with teams in the past and bringing it to Butler? You know, being with new teammates as well. You know, what experiences can you take from playing at Oklahoma State or playing at Cincinnati that will help Butler's team this year?
I don't know. I think just being older for me, I think playing at Cincinnati, I learned how to relate to my players a little bit better, and I think that helps us both lead. Having some experience and playing tougher competitions lets us be able to deal with adversity amongst our teammates and amongst other teams when we're traveling on the road. So I think it helped me a lot with leadership. So.
You know, talking to coaches, you are both by far, you know, the leaders of this team, and we're kind of chosen to be to take the team far this year and being key contributors. You know, is there one aspect of your game that you still think you can work on?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Taylor or Darius, either one.
I mean, I think all areas of my game need some improving, but
Always, yeah. There's something you can always work on to get better at, and I mean, I think our vocal skills are pretty good on the court.
yeah, I think for me, maybe defense, low block. That's one thing that's really gonna have to help, because we're a big team, but I think moving from Horizon to Atlantic 10, we're gonna face bigger competition, and so I think teams are gonna try to pound it in a little bit more, and I think that defensively our team's good, but I think that's one area for me that I can personally get better for. And I mean, Taylor's really vocal, and she's a great leader. I don't really know what she could work on, but but that's about it.
You know, playing as a new team, are there any difficulties playing with all new players this year?
I mean, I guess just trying to get to know one another. I mean, now that we're building our chemistry, I think that's the thing that we were working on most. And now that we're in season, it's going to be vital for us to click. Otherwise, the goals that we've set, we might not reach. And I think that we're on the right track to keeping that chemistry and doing really well.
Awesome. Well, Taylor and Darius, I really appreciate you guys being on the show today. Good luck to both of you this season in your first game against Marquette.
Thank you.
Ryan Hansen has more on what is happening in Butler athletics. For the Bulldog Blitz, I'm Mark Pearson.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Bulldog Blitz Scoreboard. I'm Ryan Henson. The Butler football team has at least a share of the Pioneer League championship. A win in their last game of the year against Drake will give the Dogs sole possession of the conference crown. The volleyball team wraps up its regular season against St. Louis at Hinkle Fieldhouse Saturday. The women's soccer team made it to the semifinals of the A10 tournament before losing to LaSalle. The women finished with a 12-5-4 record. The men's soccer team is also done for the season, losing to conference opponent St. Louis. The men's and women's cross-country team compete in the NCAA Great Lakes Regional in Wisconsin this weekend. The men's basketball team opens its regular season at Hinkle's Fieldhouse Saturday against Elon. The women open on the road against Marquette. There are plenty of chances to go out and support your Bulldogs. For the Blitz Scoreboard, I'm Ryan Henson.